Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
So if you know this chassis, you know that from factory, it came as a 1.8 liter with 170 horsepower to the American market. This is a 2 liter making roughly 600 horsepower. So this was never actually supposed to be a YouTube video, but somebody reached out with some questions a couple weeks ago about some of the parts I used. So I had some footage laying around. So I decided I'm gonna put together some content and give as much information as I can to help somebody build their 1.8T without any fancy tools, without any engine lift, without any equipment. Just the basic stuff you need and a couple homies. You're gonna need that. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the engine rebuild. Subscribe for more because I will have more 1.8T content coming in the near future. Stay tuned. Rule number 1, make sure you get a bag to label everything. Label everything. Then we're gonna start with taking out the headlights. Once the headlights out, then we can move on to take out the front bumper. Once the front bumper is off, we can aim to get the car in service mode. If you don't know what service mode is, go look it up. Once the front clip is off, you rotate the engine to top dead center. Once it's at top dead center, you can remove all your coolant lines. Coolant lines out the way, get the ignition coils out and the valve cover off. Take your head bolts out, everything disconnected, should come out something like that. Then once it's out, do a little clean up to the wires, make it a little neater, you know. Have something like this. Came apart in one piece. Exhaust, intake, everything. He fell asleep on the job. Well, it was like 1 a.m. I believe it was. So, you know, can't blame him, but fell asleep on the job, man. Come on, bro. So you know a turbo guard costs like $50. I wasn't paying $50 for a turbo guard. I decided to make my own.
Hi Ronnie, I'm using this.
I went to Walmart and I bought a cheap strainer. The thinnest strainer that I could find that lets through the least amount of things. And I just went and doubled it, made my own. Thank you, DJ. Now this is where the fun begins. You remember in the beginning when I said, hey, get a couple homies, you're gonna need them? Yeah, to get the engine out this way, you just have to just bear hug it. Just have fun. Alright, so story time. The reason we had to take this engine apart was because on this build it failed. Won't mention the company, won't mention the item, but that item caused us some problems with our thrust washers, where the main cap ate the thrust washer between the crankshaft. So let's just say that product doesn't exist anymore and that company doesn't make that product for this platform anymore. So I guess they figured it out or not. Whatever, I don't know. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's get back to the reassembly. So with the engine block completely assembled, pistons and connecting rods already in, we're gonna put the rear main seal on. Once the rear main seal is on, make sure you use thread locker. I use orange thread locker. Once the rear main seal is on, then we can put the flywheel on. And once the flywheel is on, I use a diamond claw, I think the brand is, that is this thing to prevent the flywheel from hardening to the rear main seal. So once those bolts are in and you tighten them down, and you can put your pressure plate on. Make sure you clean it too. Make sure you clean it. Put your pressure plate on, and then your clutch. Clutch and pressure plate. Clutch and pressure plate. Yeah, that. Always follow the manufacturer's recommendation for your torque, because it is very important. Then we can move on to put on our oil pump. Remind us, I get a couple homies, you gonna need them. This kind of wire is important. It goes so much faster, and you have so much more fun, and the memories grow. Can you guess the color? So basically we're just doing the opposite of everything we just did. Take the engine out, we just put it back in, and then put the head back on with the intake manifold and the turbo. I changed the intake manifold, I believe, so that's why the intake manifold is off in this clip. Yeah man, me catch up on a video.
Daddy.
You looked at it and then what?
And then I was just right here, and then you caught me.
Catch you in a 4K.
Huh?
Caught you in 4K, 1080p, 60 FPS.
What does that mean?
Catch you in the highest resolution possible. So you can't tell unless you never do it. You catch it, you do it. Heater hose failed, so we had to run to O'Reilly's to go get a new one. Luckily they had one in stock. We're doing this thing called priming mode in Ignition, where once you're beyond 50% throttle and you turn the key, it will allow you to prime all your systems but will not fire the car. So we're getting the systems primed with fuel and oil pressure before we fire the car.
Looking good. bigger than